Women of Reddit, what's your cringy nice guy story? Not a woman but former nice guy. It's posts like these that make me glad I'm no longer like that. Sorry for being a douche waffle. Same. I used to think women owed me sex because I was nice. The fuck was wrong with me? Treat women just like people and you'd be surprised at how many more want to hang out with you. I was friends with a coworker. We had hung out a few times socially after work and got along well, but it never really occurred to me to wonder if he was interested in me. At that point in my life I did not get a lot of male attention, and honestly was pretty cringy myself, but that's for a different thread. Anyway, we were walking side by side and I guess he went to put his arm around me. It surprised me, like that someone is tapping you on the opposite shoulder trick, and I turned abruptly. He took it as incredibly rude, gave me an angry lecture about leading people on and how disgusting you make someone feel when you literally flinch from their touch, and called me a bitch. Sorry for my reflexes. About a week later another friend came to me at work to let me know the guy was telling everyone I was a whore who was sleeping my way through the department. Nice. The dumbest part was that I probably would have gone on a date with him if he'd asked. I just had no idea he was thinking along those lines. Bullet dodged. Well, there have been many, but one in particular takes the cake. When I was a freshman in college, I met a guy through mutual friends that seemed to be really cool. I was really intrigued by his intellect and what I perceived to be kindness. Zero red flags from this guy. He seemed immensely compassionate due to the suffering he'd had to endure growing up. He had cancer and had to get a testicle removed, and has also discovered his father hanging one day after his mom up and left, among other things. Anyways, I invited him over to my dorm on our first date, and before long we went from discussing literature to taking the danger highway to the bone zone. After sex, he says, the first time I talked to you, which was over the internet mind you. Dear readers, I decided I would tell you I loved you after the fourth date. I kind of chuckle to myself and brush it off, because this isn't the first time this kind of thing has been said to a girl after sex. Alright, anyways, he then asks me if he's the best sex of my life and if I'm ready to be exclusive. I say something to the effect of, I think you're awesome, but I don't want to rush into things. Let's have a few more dates and see how this goes. He immediately gets up, puts his clothes on, tells me you're just like every other whore who doesn't want a man with one fucking testicle, and leaves. Never heard from him again. I have so many, but I just remembered this one, so I'll go with it. I met this girl in a seminar I was attending. She was super nice and I really liked her, so we became friends. It was her birthday a short time later, and her boyfriend at the time arranged a party bus as a surprise party. I wasn't drinking at the time, but I figured I'd go and hang out for a while. What could go wrong? Right when I got there, one of her guy friends decided he thought I was cute. That's fine. I mean, whatever. I had never met him before, so we exchanged names and the conversation pretty much stopped there. The bus gets there, we all get on, and people start getting progressively more drunk. That's fine. I like to party and being around drunk people didn't bother me. Well, this one girl got really drunk and decided she wanted to go home with me. She came and sat by me and started to get a bit handsy, so I did the butt scooch migration slowly to the other side of the seat. Other guy from before sees this, comes and sits on the other side of me, and halts my butt scooch migration. They start getting in a drunken argument over who gets to take me home. Mind you, I'm not going home with anybody, but try telling this to these two profoundly drunk people. Drunk girl figures out that if she tries to give me the world's drunkest lap dance, the drunk guy will get progressively more upset. I keep getting up and moving to different parts of this bus. Things were getting weird. We finally get back to the house and it evolves into a drunken house party. I decide it's time for me to go. I go for one final bathroom trip since it will be a long drive home. I keep getting stopped by random party goers on the way out telling me that drunk guy is very upset and I should go talk to him. I look outside and drunk guy, whom I have spoken to for all of 30 seconds ever, is sitting on the sidewalk sobbing and all his friends are around him, trying to cheer him up. Apparently, some girl he is in love with doesn't love him back. I'm told it's me. I walk outside, crouch down and apologize that he's sad. I wish him a good night. He starts to cry again. I walk to my car and leave. That was a really weird night. The whole story I kept flipping between thinking OP was male or female, gay or straight, on the edge of my seat. Woman here. Sorry, I know that wasn't obvious in the post, lol. My best friends, we'll call him Dan. Mom threw a joke moving away party for him because he was going to be traveling abroad for 3 months. We had a big dinner at a restaurant that Dan chose. Dan also got to invite 5 or 6 of his friends. After the dinner, we went back to his place and had a very relaxed house party. It was really just me and Dan having a blast dancing to music and laughing. Everyone else just kind of sat around. But one of the other guys, let's call him Jack, came up and starting talking to me. Just generic get to know you type of questions. I figured he was just trying to make things less bland since Dan was the only one who knew all of us. At the end of the day, he added me on Facebook, which is pretty typical for college. In no way did either of us indicate we're interested in each other. And 2 weeks later, Jack posted that he was moving out of state for a job. A few weeks after that, I get a message from Jack where he tells me he's really interested in me and would like to date. My dude, you're 3-hour flight away. Aside from all the reasons where I'm not really even interested in him, he accepts and tells me that he understands. Just kidding. He acted like he understood, but a week after the Facebook message he called me at 2 PM on a weekday plastered out of his mind telling me he loved me and that he could have seen himself being with me. I asked him what he was doing drunk on a weekday and he replied, drowning out the sorrows of your love. He asked me why I didn't feel the same way and let me tell you, I am just not into you was the wrong answer. He just kept saying over and over that he was so nice to me. He hadn't done anything wrong. He couldn't seem to understand that it doesn't mean I'll automatically fall for him. We had known each other for months and had only met once. It was the strangest thing I've ever experienced. To be fair though, he was really nice. I married my high school sweetheart. So in college we had been dating for 3 years already very solidly. One day 2 of my closer male friends came to visit me at my on-campus job and both were really odd and kind of pushy about us hanging out later. My boyfriend future husband was in school about 30 miles away and was very secure in our relationship. Had no problem with me having male friends. So I go hang out with these guys and they get really sweet and over the top with compliments and making dinner and all these things. So I get really weirded out and say, I'm going to get going. Me and my boyfriend are hanging out later. And suddenly the feeling in the room shifts and one of the guys says, why are you going to see him? I thought you broke up. Turns out some other girl with my name broke up with her boyfriend that day and they both thought it was me. So they decided to have some weird competition to be my next boyfriend. Or they wanted a threesome. I have no idea. I booked it out of there. In case you are wondering, neither of them were invited to our wedding. Edit. I guess I didn't give enough detail about what was said and how things ended. Throughout the night no one ever mentioned my boyfriend or said anything like that sucks or how are you feeling. Those seemed like things any basic human being would say out of concern. But there was a lot of I've always wanted to tell you how pretty your eyes are, etc. After a while those comments were getting more personal so I started to feel uncomfortable. I decided to leave but not make a big deal about it. That was when I mentioned my boyfriend and both guys got mad. One kept saying, but you said you broke up. I know you said it. Instead of just laughing about a silly mix-up they both were accusatory that I had done something wrong or led them on in some way. In the following weeks they both avoided me and eventually we just stuck to a polite hello in passing. Prior to that night our whole group of friends hung out a few nights a week. I had 2 classes with these guys so we would sometimes study together. But all of that stopped after that night. I didn't end it, they did. I tried to let them know it was cool and we should just laugh it off and move on. They chose instead to end our friendship. It's not a big deal. Life moves on. But I feel like I need to say this. If you are friends with a girl for a year and expect sex to be your reward, you aren't really a good friend or a nice guy. Thank you for watching. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon through the link in the description. If the video slapped, be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for videos every single day. See you tomorrow.